Hello and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 415.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the show. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, and I'm joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
That's me.
And we are the Family Gamers. This week, we have taken a recommendation from the Family Gamers community, and we are going to talk about Room to Grow card games this week.
Yeah, we have to narrow this down a little bit because card games means a lot of different things to different people, especially if you're more of a gamer or if you're less of a gamer. So we'll get into that in the second half of the show.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. I thought we were going to do a quick description, but that doesn't really matter. As you can tell, we are professionals. And you know what professionals
professional.
Is they open up the show with a fact. Do you want to hear a fact?
I do want to hear a fact.
All right. This is a fact, like not for Anitra, but I think that you will like this fact. How does that sound? So this fact is a Guinness Book of World Records fact.
Sure.
This record was set in 1931.
That's almost 100 years ago.
Man, we're so old. Okay, like 1931 is a long time ago, but like it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but then it's like that's a long time ago. And
it was 95 years ago.
We were also born in the 1900s, so...
That makes me feel old. Don't say that.
Oh my gosh. Anyway. All right, so here is the fact. The racing tall ship with the largest crew is the Amerigo Vespucci, which has a maximum complement of 415 sailors, including both professional crew and trainees.
That is a lot of people on board one sailing ship.
Yeah. Also, like, that will probably never be broken because they don't make tall ships like that anymore.
Yeah. There are a few tall ships still made.
Yeah, but not like
it's
this.
It's a very specialty kind of field.
And they're
nowadays.
Not racing ships.
I mean, they are actually usually. That's the only field in which it still makes sense to make tall ships, but it's super specialized. Like you're talking 1 or 2 a year, and they're usually designed for a crew complement of like 20 or fewer.
Yeah. Do you consider that a tall ship?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway, the Amerigo Vespucci was built at the Castellammare di Stabia naval shipyards in Naples, Italy. By the way, I apologize about that pronunciation. And launched on February 22nd, 1931. She's currently operated by the Italian Navy as a training vessel.
That sounds about right. The U.S. Coast Guard has a couple of training tall ships in that vein. Not nearly as large as that, though.
That's a big ship. So anyway, so that's my fact. I thought it would be something that you would be interested in. Obviously, listeners, Anitra was interested.
I was interested.
Crushed it.
Good job.
You also have a fact from our sponsor.
Well, last episode we talked about how now is a good time to start putting money aside for Christmas gifts. Because beginning of February, you still have 10 and a half months left. Here's some more food for thought. How do you help your kids understand that Christmas isn't just a get more stuff holiday? One way is to reduce the number of material gifts and replace those with experiences like a day at a theme park or a special trip with just one of the adults in the family. Another idea is to try shifting their attention to others. There are a number of great ways to do this, from having them research and pick a charity to donate to, all the way to picking a name off a giving tree for the kids to shop for. Giving trees are often set up by churches, food banks, and some are even at local malls. You can also spend time as a family volunteering, clearing out old toys to donate, or just visiting nursing homes to spread holiday cheer. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you need to make sure that you are modeling the behavior you want to be teaching your children. If you'd like to talk about other ideas to help pass on your financial values to your children, schedule a time to talk to First Move by going to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers today.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move for sponsoring the Family Gamers podcast again. All right, Anitra, we have gotten some game playing in. I am looking at this list, and I'm pretty impressed with us.
Snow days help with that.
Snow days do help with that. That's true. That's true. So let's start at the top with the game that we played most recently, I guess. And that game is Compile Main 2.
Yeah, so anyone who's been listening to the show for a while knows how much we loved the first Compile game.
And the add-on
expansion
thing?
Yeah. Compile Main 2 is more of the same. It is the same exact kind of game, same structure of game, but it's got 12 new protocols to work with.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is literally the same game with just more protocols, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, what the thought process was on why they separated it in this way. I don't really know the answer to that. I'm wondering if there will be a Compile Big Box at some point.
Maybe I look at this more like an Unmatched, where it's just smaller boxes and you can combine as desired.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, look, it's the same game. It's just as good. It's still just as cool looking. You still kick my butt. All the same themes that we normally have.
This box has some themes that are more chaotic for sure. There is literally one called Chaos, which we have not tried yet. But one of the ones I tried was called Luck. And there was a lot of like, if you play this card, play the top card from your deck, no matter what it does.
Sure.
So really weird stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have also been playing a little bit more Logic and Lore. We've decided that we're going to release a review for this in the next week or so, because if Logic and Lore sounds interesting to you, the second printing is going to be funded by a Kickstarter, which is starting tomorrow as of the day this podcast comes out. So Logic and Lore is a really cool deduction game. It's beautiful. It is not that hard to learn, but it's got tons of difficulty levels.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I love is that you can adjust the difficulty of the two players independently.
Which I struggle with as a gamer with pride, but that's fine. It's totally okay. It's the way it should be done.
My most recent game, Asher and I played, and I played with adding 1 black hole, and he played with adding 2 black holes. And that was about the right balance for us, that it was challenging for both of us. I lost, but I felt good about my loss because it was okay, I have to go for it here and hope that luck is on my side, because I know for sure that he's going to get this soon.
Sure. So if he has black holes, that makes your difficulty higher, right?
No.
Okay.
A black hole is a value of nothing.
Okay.
And the rules around black hole is that the other player always answers no to anything involving a black hole.
So he made it harder you two agreed to make it harder for him, and he still beat you?
He still beat me, but it was super close this time.
As opposed to him just demolishing you?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he beats me too. Like, this is not me going after you in any way, shape, or form.
It was a loss where I felt good about it because it was super close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, that's good. Look, we want our gamer kids to grow up and be able to beat us,
Yeah.
We want them to be better at us and everything, or we should. So,
Yep.
Whatever. Anyway. All right, next on the list is a game called Ichor.
Or maybe Ichor?
Ichor? I don't know. Ichor. Whatever. It's a Reiner Knizia game.
With a Greek theme.
Yes. So Ichor is I don't even know how to describe this. I feel like if you saw this game set up to begin, it would look kind of like a checkers or chessy kind of thing. It's on a squares board, and one of you plays as monsters and the other one plays as gods. Every god and every monster has unique abilities, and the goal is to move around on the boards enough so that you lay all of your tokens on the board. And if you finish your turn with all of your tokens on the board, you have won?
Yes.
And then once somebody wins, you switch sides, and whoever plays the monsters plays the gods, and vice versa, and then you play again.
Yeah. The idea is you do the exact same layout both times, exact same starting layout. So yes, you win one half of the game, but you also keep track of a score of how many tokens your opponent has left over.
Got it. Okay. I didn't know if there was if you both won one, then there's a third one or something, but it's just the combined score of how the tokens work out.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the way this game works is there's normal movement, but every god or monster has a one-time use special ability.
Yeah, most of which involve movement, but a couple don't.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the game. I don't know. I mean, I only played it once. I know you played it a couple more times than I did.
I played it one more time in full. We did swap sides.
Okay. So what are your impressions?
It's really interesting. It makes my brain work a little bit harder than I want to. Sure. Which is not to say that it is a hard game, but it's a game that makes my brain work hard. It does have that kind of chess-like feel of you need to be looking a couple of moves in advance and also predicting what kind of things your opponent might be doing. Mm-hmm. I will say that I have really appreciated the graphic design on this game. So when you lay out your gods and monsters, you're putting them in lanes with cards. And so you have all these cards in front of you that tell you what each character does. And you've got a little player aid for what the opposing characters do. But every one of the standees for a god or a monster also has a little space for a symbol that goes along with what their power is. And that seems to be just enough for me to be like, oh, right, that's what that guy can do if he hasn't done it already. That plus having the stacks of tokens off to the side make it pretty easy to tell who's winning or where things can go next. It takes some of the stuff you have to remember to play the game out of your brain so that you can focus on just the tactics of if I do this, then that leaves this open. If I do this, then that might leave this open.
Yeah, I very much felt like this was a game that is going to take a bunch of plays for me to really get my head around all of the strategy and recognition of what all the different kinds of characters can do and blah, blah, blah. Like, you think of a game like Onitama where there's really only 2 or 3 things that any given player can do at a time.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of variation on that, but that's it, right? There's not a billion decisions to make. And this is a game where it's not like chess, where chess is so well known that you know what every piece does and you don't have to think about it. So the variety of possibility is still there, but the familiarity with all the pieces is not.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of what you're talking about. It made it like, that first game, I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just going to move stuff around and we'll find out what happens.
Yeah, I do think it helps that the actual variation in what any of these characters can do is relatively small, given the space of the game. The vast majority of the time, you are just picking up one character and moving them in a straight line. You know, some amount of spaces you get to decide. They can't jump over other characters and stuff. Like,
there's no diagonals.
There's no diagonals. You're always moving in a straight line. One of the pieces does have an ability to move diagonally, but again, that's once per game, right? So the whole point of those special abilities is to make it a little bit more interesting, make it a little bit more challenging to figure out the tactics. But I found that I can mostly ignore those because, again, they're one-time use per game. You can't completely ignore them, but, you know, it's sort of I don't have to worry about that one right now. That one doesn't make sense right now. I don't have to think about it.
Sure. Yeah, so that was Ichor or Ichor. At the same time we got that game, we also received a copy of the game Iliad. And this is actually the game we played first.
Yeah.
So this is another Kinesia game. It is I would say, medium-sized square box game from Asmodee. I don't remember what brand specifically, but it was shipped to us from Asmodee.
Bitewing
Games. I liked Iliad a lot more. This was a much tighter game with fewer choices at any given time. The purpose of this game is to score these tokens that sit off the edges of all of the rows and columns. It's another game with the hash pattern. In this case, you are playing tiles into the pattern orthogonally. The tiles each have a number on them, and the number is 1 through 5?
Yeah, 1 through 5, and then there's a special one.
Each have a special ability. So all of the ones have the same special ability, all the twos have the same special ability, etc. And those abilities might be things like move one of your opponent's tiles, flip over one of your opponent's tiles, etc., etc. And the way this game works, this is a 2-player game. Once a row or column is finished, the 2 tokens on either end of that row or column are scored. The winning player, so the player who has more strength or numbers, however it's calculated, there's a little bit of calculation involved, gets to choose which token first, and the other player gets the other one.
Yeah.
And you go through the whole game doing this. There's a couple tokens that are laid out at the beginning that you can kind of swap with. There's one of the abilities does that. And then at the end of the game, you just figure out who's got more points.
Kind of. It's very Reiner Kinesia-ish
Well, yeah,
scoring.
there's some weird thread. So there's kind of this thing that says you have to have all of this stuff. And if only one of the 2 players has all of this stuff, then they automatically win. But otherwise, it's by points.
That's how my last game ended.
So you actually... one of you didn't get all the stuff?
Asher explicitly blocked me from getting some of the stuff I would need.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah, he did a really good job with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the way it would have to go, because I don't really feel like it's all that hard. I shouldn't say it's not that hard, but what I should say is if you really want to get one of each thing, it is more of a deliberate choice from the opponent to prevent you from getting certain things than it is you failing to remember to get something. Does that make sense?
Once you understand the rules, there are 5 god types of tiles, and you need to have one of each to be able to then compare scores with your opponent. There is one way to get around it. If you haven't gotten all 5, if you've only gotten 4, there's an additional thing you can grab that will count as a wild 5th god. Mm-hmm. But if one person manages to have all 5 gods and the other one doesn't, the person with 5 gods automatically wins. The only time you compare scores is if both players have 5 gods or neither player has 5 gods.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that is Iliad. Like I said, I liked Iliad more than Ichor. I think it's just because there was more stuff in Ichor for me to try to get my brain around, and that was too much work for me.
I think part of it is in Iliad, you only ever have 2 tiles in your hand, so that your choices at any given time are actually pretty limited.
Sure.
You're like, I can place this tile or I can place this tile. Well, I would really like to place this tile. Now, where are places where I can put it? And you just kind of move forward from there. I also got a chance to pull out and play Carnuta with our son.
This game is really good. This game came in the same package with Ichor and Iliad. This is one of those games, we mentioned the Asmodee Play event at PAX Unplugged. This is one of the games we played that I really, really liked.
We both played this one at that event. Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit then, but Carnuta is it's kind of a set collection game in that you're collecting these cards, and each card will both be a thing, like an ingredient, a potion ingredient sort of thing. So it's like a honeycomb or a dragon's egg or a flower or a butterfly or whatever. It'll be a thing, but a lot of them also have scoring conditions on them, which might be for more of the same, or it might be for something completely different.
We might be talking about games that do something similar later in the show.
We might. But in Carnuta, the way you play those cards out is that you have these little day and night runes, and every card will require either a bunch of day runes or a bunch of night runes. Sometimes you flip them over, sometimes you discard them back to the center, sometimes you do a combination. So you're always doing this kind of back and forth of like, well, I have to be kind of balanced because to play this card, I have to flip 3 night runes over, and then I'll have 3 day runes in my thing. Is there a card that makes sense to use and be able to play from the day runes?
Sure.
It's really interesting in figuring out that balance. There is a certain amount of luck in what cards come out to the like market that you can then pick up and add to your hand and be able to play later. But overall, I'm definitely enjoying it. The more I play it, the more I kind of grok how it's supposed to work and what the strategies are that you need to look for in the game. So overall, I'm liking it. We're certainly going to play it more and talk about it again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game the one time I played it, but the theme I thought was pretty neat. I like the look and feel. I am looking forward to playing it some more. Another game that we're going to play a couple more times is Marvel Dice Throne. We have almost finished working our way through the 8 characters in the 2 boxes.
The X-Men characters.
The X-Men characters in Marvel Dice Throne X-Men. I mean, it's more Dice Throne. I like the way that most of these characters play out. This is a game that we'll be reviewing probably in the next month. There's just a lot of content in it. And so being able to give it all a fair shake just takes some time. And so we have, what are the last 2? Iceman and
Dark Phoenix, maybe? No, it was
I don't know. Psylocke?
Yeah, that sounds
right. So we're going to play through, a couple times with the last few characters, and then I will be writing that review up, and that'll be coming pretty soon. If you like Dice Throne and you like X-Men, you got X-Men Dice Throne. I think you do a good job of trying to pair, at least conceptually, some of the powers of the X-Men with the types of things that they can do, in their powers in the game. So, yeah.
Storm and Wolverine really have sort of called to me in that one of like, I know those characters better anyway, but they feel really well themed.
Sure. I really liked the way they did Gambit.
Sure.
Anyway, all right. Let's move on to another game that involves investment as a reviewer. And that is Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Unfolders. So this is a game that we've had for a little while. Honestly, this game came in 3 packages. I mean, it was just very daunting to kind of get into it.
Yeah.
But once we got locked in, got everything all set up, we were sent the miniature set as well. So it's just like really nice. I mean, I think we had James Hudson on the show a while ago, and he said, look, if there's anything we're guilty of, it's being extra. And that is 100% true.
That is very true of this game.
However, here's what I'm going to say. First of all, really enjoyed playing it. I think you, me, and Asher had a good time.
Yeah, it was good.
I think I really like the way the tile board works with powers. It's a really nice ebb and flow to getting a little bit more powerful and then getting it's like a fight, right? Like think a WWE fight where it's like you build up and then you have some, big turn and then you kind of have to take a step back and kind of recover a little bit. Really, really fun like that. The narrative is pretty cool. You can actually buy professionally read narratives if you want to, which is kind of a neat thing. I don't think that's our jam. But one thing that I will say is I think mechanically this game is much tighter than Tidal Blades 1. It is a totally different kind of game, but as much as I enjoyed Tidal Blades 1, and certainly the art and the world are incredible, I would get all this stuff set up, and Asher and I would play, or 3 of us would play, and then we'd be like, that was a lot. Like, that was very much the juice wasn't worth the squeeze of it all.
Yeah, kind of like we'll finish a game and be like, that's it?
Yeah, it's like, I feel like for what we went through to get this on the table, it should be at least twice as long. Again, we're talking about Tidal Blades 1. With this one, first of all, the chapter was almost like in 2 phases, or like the battle we were doing was almost like in 2 phases. So it had a natural pause point in it if we wanted to stop playing.
Which we did need to briefly.
Briefly, but it was brief. It wasn't like we, went off and had dinner or something. But that part was nice, and then we came back and we kind of finished, and then we did like all the rewards for completing the chapter and da-da-da-da-da. So all of that was good. After playing this game one time, I went and found the STL files for a 3D printed insert. And I actually took some pictures that we will include with the review.
Sure.
It's like a soft negative for the game, I guess. Again, if you're going to accuse them of being anything, it's being extra. There were just so many bags of stuff in this game. Like, bags are fine, but they don't always do a good job of organizing when there's this much stuff.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, well, there's all these different kinds of cards, and then each of the 6 possible characters has their own set of cards. It's just a giant pile.
Right, and that's what
that you have to sift through.
In order to get the game started the first time, we were like, okay, like just literally sort into stuff we will use in this game and other stuff we won't use in this game.
And even that took probably 20 minutes.
Yes,
because
exactly.
because we were unfamiliar with a lot of it too, right? So it's a double whammy there.
Mm-hmm. Now we have trays that we can pull out, like trays where like, okay, this is like the tray for distribution, right? So now we don't have to go get the all the little bits trays that we usually use for other games. Like, all that stuff's all sorted out. It's going to be much easier. We have little card boxes, so we can be like, okay, pull the card box out. We're going to need this small amount, and then put it back, and then put it off to the side. We won't need it. Like, I literally needed an auxiliary table. And our table's not small. I mean, it's not huge, but it's like a 5-foot by 3-foot table.
Yeah.
And I needed another table for all the stuff.
As we were trying to sort out and get stuff together. Once we were set up, it only took the one table.
Right.
But the process of setting up was a lot.
It was a lot. And, in some ways I felt some of that with the first Tidal Blades, but like this one, once it was set up, it was together and it felt meaty. Like, there was meat on these bones, which I really liked.
Yeah.
So that's, look, that's a Druid City Games game, right?
Well, and I was like, for me personally, I had to walk away because I'm like, this is too much setup for me. It's too much. I cannot handle it. Yep. Tell me when it's ready and I will come back and play.
Yes.
I'm beginning to understand that about myself now. I'm not completely opposed to this sort of medium heavy game, but you really lose me if it's more than about 10 minutes of setup.
Anitra is not the one who reads the rulebook in advance, okay?
I mean, for some games I will.
Well,
but
like for a big, like, you're not the one, if a game requires a teach, that's not you.
Yeah, it's really not.
And that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. That's what Asher's for.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Tidal Blades 2. We're going to play this a bunch more. We'll be talking about it. Eventually we'll review it, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's a lot, but it's good.
Let's go to the other end of the spectrum.
Pretty much.
And talk about a couple of really, really small games.
Yes.
So you and I have continued to play more of Verdant Arizona.
Which you continue to smoke me at.
Yes. This is part of the Galen's Games Mint Tin series. Mm-hmm. This is a really interesting puzzle.
I just like it. It's good.
It's a really interesting puzzle.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of something like a Lucky Numbers or something like that, but it's a little bit more flexible. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, we've been enjoying that. We tried one more of the Galen's Games Mint Tin series, which was Dice Clash.
You tried it. I did not.
Yes, this one was me and Asher. And it is a straight up dice battler. It's got a little bit of the same DNA as Super Snipers because you're laying your dice out in a grid to do specific like modifications to the dice as you attack each other. It was fine. It was really just not our thing. I'm still glad we tried it, but we have so many other games that are direct battling games with or without dice that we would like better than this one.
Sure. I get that. Totally
makes
sense.
It is what it is. All right. One more very, very small game. I tried the Button Shy solo game called Embers. This is a survival game. I was a little scared because what I had seen from the people who have already gotten the Kickstarter from it, people said it was very meaty, very crunchy. What they meant is it's hard, but it's not a meaty, crunchy kind of game. It's just hard. And so after playing it once and figuring out how it fit together, I was like, okay, that was too hard, but I think if I do it again, I know what to do differently. And the second time I played, admittedly on the easiest difficulty level, I did manage to win the game. In Embers, you have a central fire deck, and then you have 4, I forget what they call them, but villagers, defenders around it. You start each round by revealing monsters from the fire deck, 1 for each defender. Whether or not you already have monsters around the fire, you're still going to add a bunch more. Then once the monsters are out, you look, there's probably a special power or special restriction in the card that remains on the fire deck. You have to apply that restriction, and then your different defenders have actions they can do. What you're trying to do in all of this is basically stop this fire from ever running out of cards. If the fire runs out of cards, you're dead. The game ends. So what that is all the monster cards are also fire cards. And the defenders can either retrieve cards that the monsters put off in a separate area, or they can explicitly defend against monsters, but they have to do that by moving on top of them first. There's a ton of movement restrictions and all that kind of stuff, which that was the part that really took me a while to get my head around. After all the defenders do their things, then all the monsters attack. The monsters attack the fire first, and then they attack the closest defender. So you are also cycling out the defenders. Like if they take too much damage in a turn, they go out to the tent for a round, and you can bring new defenders in. Any cards that you as the player, as the defenders, have either killed monsters or taken back from the monsters getting rid of, you slot all those back in underneath the fire deck. So it's just this constant renewal. There is sort of a round card in the fire deck. Every time you hit that round card, you reduce the number on it. It's like hours till sunrise.
Sure.
You reduce the number on it, but it gives you a chance to level up one of your defenders that's around the fire.
Okay.
And that's it. Once you hit that round card the last time, you just set it aside, and as long as you can survive the current round, you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding both that you just want to keep putting cards back in the fire all the time, and how to get the defenders on top of the monsters to successfully, pull them away from the fire was the real key in starting to get this game. It is not really my kind of thing or my kind of theme, but at least I feel like I understand it now, and I can play it a few more times and give a more thorough review.
Sure.
The last thing I've got on here is tag team. I continue to try out different combinations of this. In some ways, because of the breadth of characters, this feels a little bit like an Unmatched or a Dice Throne or something where each character deck is really, really strongly themed, but I don't really feel like I understand a lot of what the different characters are and how their theming works.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just personally missing something here, because I get that with Dice Throne. I 100% get it with Unmatched. I just don't quite. I'm like, there are 2 or 3 characters where I'm like, okay, I understand how this guy works and what he's supposed to do. And the rest of them, I'm like, I just don't get it.
So I believe in this game there is a difficulty rating for characters. It kind of gives you a sense of how difficult they are to play.
Yeah.
Does your confusion correlate with that at all?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Okay. So this is something where this is just a game that the cycle of life has not allowed me to get it in front of us all that often.
Right.
So I will very much be interested to see how I feel about that. I really like the deck programming aspect of this game.
I like both the deck programming and the fact that you're smashing up 2 different characters together, and you have to, in some way, make them work together, because as soon as one character dies, you're done. You've lost the game.
Right. I just think it's really interesting because there's a little bit of this almost like kind of trying to read your opponent and where you think they're going to go as you program the deck by putting one card in it, right?
Yeah.
But one card can have a profound impact on timing.
It can shift everything. Yeah.
So I'm really interested in that part of this game. I know JP Little Big Thumbs is loving this game. So I really want to get in front of it a little bit more. It just, real life has not allowed that to happen.
You've been a little bit busy.
A little bit. But hopefully that will be freeing up sometime soon.
All right. Speaking of freeing up time for playing games.
Yep.
We are recording this on the last day of January. It is possible that we will play 1 or 2 more games, but I feel like this is the right time to do the monthly report.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we will. I'll try to play something tonight, maybe, hopefully.
So, for the month of January, I have 42 plays of 23 unique games.
I also have 23 plays.
How many unique games?
14.
Okay.
23 plays of 14 unique games. Trio and Verdant Arizona are the only ones that I have played 2 or more times.
Really?
More than 2 times. I've also played Animal Rescue Team, 3 chapters, Kabanga, and That's Not a Hat twice.
Sure. My most played game is Trio.
Sure.
At 5 times.
I only have 4.
And my H index is 3. So much like you, Trio and Verdant Arizona are my most played, but also...
See, if I just played Kabanga one more time, I also would have had an H index of 3.
Sure.
And that would have been very impressive considering you played twice as many games as me.
But yeah, I also have Iliad and Logic and Lore at 3 times each.
Sure.
I will say almost half of my games were at 2 players, and I played more than twice as many games with you as with any other single person.
It probably means that I played more games that I just didn't put down, but that's a typical thing for me. So.
Yeah, my graph here says that I played games with you 25 times.
Yeah, so you're having 23
you're missing
plays is... Yeah, see, that's all it is, guys. I just don't write stuff down. Anyway. Trio, I'm telling you, man, we bought a second copy of this game.
And we sleeved both the old copy and the new copy.
Well, that was just because we had enough sleeves in the one package. So
we had enough sleeves for both.
Well. Yeah. All right, let us, before we take a break, head over to the Facebook to welcome our newest members to the Family Gamers community.
Okay.
We'll do some Backtalk. I have 2 emails from a listener, same listener.
Okay.
I'm going to share them on the show after we get through this, probably before we get into the Backtalk, because they're a little older and I never brought them up, although I feel like I should have. And so we'll get to that in a minute. But first, I want to welcome our new community members.
All right, well, I will kick it off. Welcome to Sean.
And welcome to Margie.
Welcome to Iola.
Welcome to Cindy.
Welcome to Ralph.
Welcome to Tom.
Welcome to Michael.
Hello to Mike.
Hi, Jean.
And welcome to Tina.
There is a little relaxing penguin to welcome you into your weekend.
I wish I was as comfortable with the cold as this penguin looks like he is comfortable with whatever he's doing in this picture.
He's just snuggling right into a big puffy armchair.
Yep, love it. And I promised a couple of emails. Mallory, this is for you. This message is from last May. These are both for science emails.
Okay.
I recently tried Wild Brand protein chips. They come in many flavors, but the chicken and waffles flavor was the most surprising to me. I actually liked it. I've never eaten real chicken and waffles. I'm from Wisconsin and Minnesota. I don't know if she says it like that, but that's how I read it. So that's not really served around here, but I have had the McGriddle sandwich from McDonald's that has syrup in the bun. It reminded me of that. Maple syrup sweetness with some saltiness. I do recommend these chips. I hope you get a chance to try them for science. So I had these Wild Brand protein chips. I think it was, we had like an executive summit thing, and they brought like a basket.
Sure.
You know how they bring like the wicker basket that's got all the things lined up?
With chips in it.
And there was some like spicy protein chips, and I think it was these or something like, they weren't the chicken and waffles ones. They were really good, like weirdly good, but they were really good. It's like thin slices of meat that are like almost in the way that like Pringles are potato that have been like crushed and then reprocessed and constituted into potato chips. This was like, whatever it was like reconstituted into these very, very thin protein chips.
It looks like they're made from chicken.
Yeah, they are.
So they're chicken chips.
But they like, there's no veins and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, it's almost in the way that like McDonald's chicken nuggets are completely reconstituted.
Or like Pringles potato chips are.
Right. Well, that's why I made that reference.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can kind of describe them. I thought they were pretty good. Yeah. Mallory actually sent another email. This one was 4 months later, last September, where she says, for science, I recently saw Reese's flavored Oreos and Oreo flavored Reese's at my local gas station. Of course, I immediately thought of you. Thank you, Mallory. In the name of science, I was obligated to purchase both. She gets it, you guys. She understands. My verdict is that I prefer the Oreo cookie with the Reese's peanut butter frosting filling. I think that I like them because they remind me of the Peanut Butter Patty's Girl Scout cookies, which I think we have some upstairs.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Although we're in the different zone, so they're called tagalongs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which also means that, does that mean that she doesn't have Samoas? I don't know. Mallory, do you have Samoas? I have to know. Or what's the other one? Like Caramel Delights or something like that?
Yeah. Which one is it for you?
Oh my gosh. And if you have Caramel Delights, do they have coconut? These are the things we need to know. But anyway, she said that the Oreo cookie with Reese's peanut butter frosting filling has the same chocolatey crunch and creamy sweet peanut butter for science.
Agreed.
Mallory's crushing it, and I apologize that it took me so long to read those on the air.
We need to do some more for science soon.
Yes. Oh, that's the other thing. So I was going back in our Discord as I was just looking for some stuff. Actually, it was the research because I knew that somebody had asked for a new room to grow. And I saw in there that we had talked about the possibility of people submitting recipes to us, and we would make them and then talk about whether or not we liked them on the show. And that would be kind of like a for sciencey kind of thing, only without buying some really strange thing at the store.
Right.
We're 100% willing to do that. Yeah. So if you've got a recipe for a thing and you just want to know what we think of it, happy to do it on the show.
Yeah,
why not? What
totally. I mean, it's like those, recipe video influencers, except we're not going to video it. We'll just tell you what we thought.
Yeah, we're not going to do the whole crunch, blah, blah, blah thing, because I think it's like this weird ASMR thing that we're, not really going for, but we will talk about what it actually is.
All right. We also promised that we would cover some Backtalk.
Yes.
So in the last podcast, we asked you about your New Year resolutions, and if you had any that had anything to do with board games. I revealed that I do not.
We don't either. Like, we've done 10 by 10s and stuff like that. I think someday in the future, maybe we'll get one of those little boards with the cute little meeples on it, and we'll do the whole thing, but we don't have that right now, which means we're not going to do that thing. I also do not have any of these. I mean, I've talked about this before. My general goal is to average a game a day over the course of the year.
I think that's the closest that either one of us has to a
But you crushed that. That can't be your New Year's resolution or anything like that because you do that every year.
My resolution is going to be to help you do that.
What a... okay, guys.
Is that better or worse than not having one at all?
What a cop-out resolution. Like, fine. I appreciate it, but like, come on.
All right, well, I'm going to dive right into our responses on the Discord because whatever. Peter says, does play something count?
Yes. If it's that bad, yes, it does count. That's okay.
He also says, I hope to get to a local small con for a day, but there's so much life happening that if it's not here at the house, it's unlikely to happen.
I understand. I get that.
You've been there. Been there, Peter.
Kendra says, my goal is to be less ambitious about the games I ask my family to play and just enjoy the fact that we're playing something together. And I think that's super true. Like,
I love that kind of goal.
Especially if you're the board gamer in the family and like the rest of your family is not into that. There's a game for everybody somewhere. There's something for everyone. And, I mean, Anitra, that's what you said. That's a great goal. I think I'm trending in that direction too. We just don't have a lot of time together with the family anymore. And when we do, at least one person is burnt out. It's usually me. So
but not always.
Faster games, I said usually, are definitely the go-to, as well as creating space and time for my heavy gamer kid to play the games that interest him.
This is something I've realized that for me, I guess any board game related goals are not actually going to be about me. They're going to be about helping everyone else in the family play games.
Well, it is about you. It's just about the relational part of you as opposed to just like, I want to do a thing.
Right. But like Asher loves to play heavy games, and part of this is vowing that I will say yes to him more often with the heavy games, but also finding ways to make the time and space for him to do it because he's also busy, and then being like, oh, hey, you finally have a night with nothing planned. We're going to go do this other thing as a family. And then just watch him be like, I was going to play a solo board game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Ken says, my goal is to clean up the library. We have games we haven't played in 2 years that I want to rehome this year. The biggest debate is, do I try and sell them or give them away? Probably a little of both. Jeremy, also on the Discord, says, my goal is to try to play a game at least once every other week. Sounds like it should be easy, but it is shockingly hard.
I understand.
Yeah.
Mark Spector, Grand Gamers Guild, over on the Facebook. He would like to play all 10 Endeavor Deep Sea scenarios cooperatively. Big question mark. Do you know anybody who even has Endeavor Deep Sea?
I mean, I'm pretty sure Mark knows people who have Endeavor Deep Sea.
One would think. He also wants to play all of Looping Games 1900 series. I don't know what that is at all. And as always, play every game on my shelves at least once.
I mean, that sounds like we need to make another trip out to Michigan and help Mark play the games on his shelves. Obviously.
Sure.
Obviously.
When?
I don't know. It was great when we did that, 3 years ago now, though?
Yeah.
Continuing on the Discord, so then Rob said, my wife and I welcomed our daughter to the world just about a week ago. A couple of weeks ago now, but that's fine. So my game-related goals are to create space by moving games that are no longer being played, as well as aiming to ensure our time gaming with our 4-year-old is still a priority, even if we've added a new player to our party.
Oh, that's very cute.
I think that's great. And I think the balance involved in there is good to keep in mind.
JP, love his. My overarching goal for 2026 is to spend more time playing games and less time engaging with social media.
He says on Discord.
That's what I said in my comment.
Yeah.
As far as board gaming challenges go, I'm aiming to play at least one game every day. See? JP and I, same wavelength. My copy of Food Chain Island is always in a pocket to make that possible. We're also doing a 10 by 10 led by the kiddos, which they are loving so far.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Sarah Jane says, my goal is to log family plays. Right now with my 7-year-old, that's a lot of Uno and its variations, Taco Cat, Left, Right, Center, Flip 7, and made-up games with dice or bananagrams. I think it'll boost my morale to see that we do play a lot of games, especially because we have great family time during them.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I mean, I'll talk about it in the context of the family gamers. Like, we've been doing this for basically 11 years at this point, and just to look back at the volume of stuff that we've generated is really encouraging when it feels like it's a slog.
Yeah.
And, this is something very similar. Like, look, parenting, the days are long, but the years are short, right? And anything that we can do that helps us remember all the sweet times, especially if it's not like intrusive. It's not like I have a camera in my face all the time and I'm putting everything on the internet and blah, 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 blah. Those things I think are really, really powerful and really helpful for us as parents longitudinally, if you know what I mean.
I agree. So if recording what your family has played helps you to appreciate that, oh yeah, my family is actually playing games together, then go for it.
Mm-hmm. Adrian says, I'm with Peter. I just hoping to play some games. Lots of family things happening. I've got plans to go to Dice Tower West in March and hope she can still go.
I hope you can too, Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of other supporting comments on here, but that's one of the things I love about the Discord and the Facebook community as well, is everybody is just here to lift each other up and be like, sounds good, go for it, or
and if
don't give up.
A butthead, we'll just kick you out. So it's fine.
It's true.
There's no rules.
The rules are don't be a butthead.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah. So we really appreciate all of the comments and the thoughts in the community.
All right, let's take a little break.
Sure.
And come back with our Room to Grow card games.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back.
All right, so we are going to do another one of our Room to Grow episodes. Our goal with Room to Grow is to bring your kids or your family through a series of games that grow in complexity. Normally, we take a beginner game, an intermediate game, and an advanced game, and some honorable mentions because that's how we roll. They offer a plan for growth for players to get comfortable with the mechanic that we're focusing on, and all of these games are family friendly. So the first thing we had to do was figure out what a card game is for the purposes of this list.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody knows, like a card game is a game that mostly uses cards, right?
Sure.
But that's still really wide. So we wanted to stay away from other types of card games we've talked about in the past. So not necessarily deck building or battling or even trick taking. We're going for more, I guess I would say, generic card games. These are games that use only cards or maybe use a few tokens for keeping track of stuff. All of these are games that can be played with more than 2 players. So nothing that is limited to being a head-to-head game.
Mm-hmm.
And to narrow it down a little bit more, we're only going to talk about games that really do reward paying attention to what is going on around the table. So not games that are just about, I am building this little thing over here that nobody else knows about or needs to know about.
Right. So this comes from a request from Adrian in the Discord.
Yes. So given those major restrictions to what we are considering for this list, I think our beginner level game has to be Flip 7.
Yeah, look, there are a couple different games that kind of fall into this. Like, it's Flip 7 and Trio and Kabanga are kind of the trio of games that really fit this well. But Flip 7 is the one that most mirrors or shares some mechanical DNA with conventional card games.
Yeah.
So we felt like it made it the most approachable of the 3, but all 3 of those games kind of would fit into this place. That said,
yes,
Flip 7 is the one where we bought 3 copies to give to various people on Christmas.
Yes.
So it's very available right now.
We've talked about this a ton in the past, but this takes the same kind of press your luck idea as a game like Blackjack and expands it out to a whole host of different numbers. There are also cards with special powers. At any time, you can decide to stop, bank the points you have, and let other people bust out. But anytime you flip a second copy of a number you already have in your display, you bust, and you get nothing that round. So it's pretty easy to understand, and any kid with a sense of numeracy, understanding what numbers mean, can play this game.
Yeah. They're not going to really understand, I think, the statistics and probability piece of this game quite to a refined level that a more advanced gamer would, but they're going to know there's more 12s, and they don't want more 12s. They're
right.
Know, if they get the 1, they know there's not another one, so they're okay to keep going. Some general swings are going to be fine.
We've just talked about Flip 7 a ton in the past.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think we need to really beat that horse to death. The next game, the intermediate game in our list, it's also kind of 2 games. It's basically the same game with 2 themes. We talked a little bit about this game last episode or the episode before when we talked about 3 Chapters, which is a game from Amigo, which has this same kind of concept to it. And when you referenced Carnuta before, and I kind of made reference to something later, this is the game that I was talking about. And this is the game Fantasy Realms from WizKids. There's also a version called Marvel Remix, which is basically Fantasy Realms, but with Marvel characters. So if you have kids that like Marvel movies, or you have family that like Marvel movies, and you think the theme is going to help you, you can just pick up Marvel Remix, and you'll have the same basic gaming experience.
According to BGG, there's also a Star Trek version called Star Trek Missions, if you're that kind of nerdy family.
Sure. Why not? That one came out apparently in 2022.
Same year as Marvel Remix.
There you go. So just like Anitra described with Carnuta, the way that these kinds of games work is that each of the cards that comes out has some kinds of attributes. It might be, so for example, you might play a card that is a weapon, and that weapon says plus X number of points if you also have a wizard out. But then you might have a card that is some kind of like, I don't know, Master Sergeant or something, who for every weapon that comes out, there's a bunch of extra points. But then you might have another kind of card, which is, like in this example, there's a flood, the Great Flood card. And it blanks out the bonuses of armies and buildings and lands because you have now flooded them out. So every card interrelates with every other card in various different ways. And so it's this sort of set collection concept, but sometimes you have to decide whether you want to get a certain card because it's going to contribute to a set, or you want to get a certain card because you want that scoring condition to work out for you. And then you have to find some weird blend of the two. So it's a game that moves fairly quickly and has a lot of flexibility in the way in which the cards that you collect get played out.
Yeah, so this is a game where you are constantly drawing one card to your hand and then discarding one card from your hand. There is a central discard area. It's not a discard pile, so you can always pull your new card in a turn from that discard area. And that's why it really rewards paying attention to what other people are discarding as well. It also means you can influence how quickly you want the game to end, because the game ends when there are 10 cards in the discard. So you think your hand is great, then you're just like, draw a new card from the deck, discard, draw a new card from the deck, discard, and just try to get that discard pile built up as quickly as possible.
The other thing that this does is, because you have this pool of discarded cards to choose from, there's a little bit more flexibility in this game and just a little bit more room to breathe and to adjust your strategy on the fly, which I think makes the game a little bit easier.
Yeah. This is the only game we're going to talk about today that is best at more than 2 players. It is...
I think Flip 7 is way better at more than 2
fair
players.
enough. But the rules of Flip 7 don't change if you have 2 players.
Sure.
Fantasy Realms / Marvel Remix, there are some variations to make it work with 2 players that involve like putting extra stuff out into the discard. It just gets a tiny bit more complicated at 2.
We don't like that stuff. This is a family podcast with playing games with your family. So play games with your family, guys. Like, what are you even doing? Anitra, why are you even talking about 2-player games?
Fine. Fine.
In fact, one of the things that we ruled out was games that could only be played with 2 players.
Right.
So there.
Right. Well, so I'm just saying, like, this one is less good at 2 players. It's still playable, but gets a little bit more challenging.
All right. So our advanced category, these are games that are a little bit more complicated. The most complicated of these three is a 2.99 complexity on BGG. Oh. So they're still, on the easier side. All three of these games, ironically, have the same designer, or in one case, he's not credited as the designer, but he had heavy influence in this game. And these are Res Arcana, Race for the Galaxy, and San Juan. So we put three of them here. Like, they're not themed clones of each other the way that Fantasy Realms and Marvel Remix are, but they have a lot of similarity between them.
They have a lot in common. Yeah.
And they hit certain different themes that you might really like. So Res Arcana is going to be a game that you want to play if your family likes fantasy stuff. Spell casting and dragons and things like that. Race for the Galaxy is a game that you would be interested in if your family is into sci-fi. And San Juan is a little bit less tied to a fictional time and place kind of theme. Like, it's the card game version of Puerto Rico, the classic game from Rio Grande. So it's got this kind of old world sort of feel to it. But
vaguely historical-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So of these three, San Juan is probably the easiest one. It's a 110 card game of production buildings that grant special powers. You can either build the cards that are in your hand or use those cards as money to build something else. So it's got some of that multi-use that we saw in Fantasy Realms. Somebody picks a role, they become like the governor or the craftsman or the builder or whatever. And usually when that happens, everybody gets a bonus, but the bonus for the person who picked that role is a slightly better bonus that's related to whatever that role is. It's some kind of special privilege. And you are building these buildings and gathering resources to build these buildings, and you're trying to get the buildings to work together, and the buildings give you victory points, and the game ends as soon as somebody has built 12 buildings. That's San Juan.
As you mentioned, Race for the Galaxy has some similarities, but is somewhat more complicated, maybe a lot more complicated depending on how you play. In Race for the Galaxy, everybody is secretly selecting an action, and then all of the actions that were selected fire off for everybody. Mm-hmm. So already that's a little bit more complicated than like, oh, I pick this and everybody does this.
Well, the game has phases, right? So whatever you pick, you can see on the left side which phase it's going to apply in.
Yeah.
So everybody reveals their card and then you kind of work through the phases.
Yeah. But again, you are paying to put out cards by discarding other cards. You're still going for a civilization of 12 cards out.
Yep.
This one has a bunch of victory point chips and other things to help you keep track because there is a lot to keep track of. Mm-hmm. Cards interact in all kinds of different ways and in different phases, etc., etc. I do find both of these games very interesting. Race for the Galaxy, anytime I pick it up, if I have not played it in the last 6 months, I needed like a thorough rules refresh.
Yeah. People have referred to San Juan as kind of the Race for the Galaxy, but in the Puerto Rico universe, right? So there is a lot of similarity between these two games. And one of the nice things about Race for the Galaxy is if it works for your family, there's a ton of expansions.
A ton. This game. Yes.
So a lot of growth that you can get out of that one. You can also get growth out of the third game on the list, which according to BGG is not quite as complicated as Race for the Galaxy, but is more complicated than San Juan, kind of sits in the middle. And this is the game Res Arcana. So we've talked about Res Arcana on the show years ago. I think it was 2021, maybe. Yeah, designed by the same designer as all of these, but officially on the box as the same designer as Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah, Tom Lehman.
Yeah, and in this game, tell me if this sounds familiar, you're collecting these things called essences to perform collect abilities. You do one action per turn to claim something or place an artifact or something like that. Discard cards for gold. Again, multi-use kind of stuff. And what you're trying to do is work towards 10 victory points. And the first player who gets 10 victory points has won the game. And so your artifacts and your monuments and things like that are going to be giving you these victory points. It was actually a Kennerspiel recommended game in 2020. So it's not simple. That's why it's the advanced game on our list. It's a
hobby game, yeah.
But it's still under 3 on the list. It's 2.66, like we said. It's not super duper complicated, and you will really find a lot of apologists for Res Arcana. It is a great, very, very solid game.
Yeah, honestly, I'm glad we went with this topic. A lot of the times in Room to Grow, we end up talking about games that we've reviewed and we've spent a bunch of time on in the past. This time, not so much. Other than Flip 7, none of these are games that we reviewed or have reason to review, but they are all games that we would recommend as being a little bit more challenging, or in the case of Res Arcana and Race for the Galaxy, a lot more challenging than your typical card game. But they still have this feeling of like, oh, yes, this is a card game. I can do multiple different things with my cards, but in the end, it's cards. You know, we're putting cards down on the table. We're trying to make a little civilization or whatever, and everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm. So those are our 3 games. So once again, special thanks to Adrian for requesting this after we did our top 5 card games episode about 2 months ago or whenever that was. So that leads us to this week's Backtalk question, which is going to be me shamelessly fishing for more podcast topics.
Okay.
What would you like us to talk about in the board game world? If you've got a topic that has been making you curious, or maybe you heard some other podcast talk about something and you'd like to hear what we have to say, I'd love to hear what those things are.
I'm going to chime in and give my silly Backtalk question to go along with this.
Okay, sure. So totally different Backtalk question?
Totally
just in
different.
Case you don't have anything? All right, sure.
In case you don't have a specific thing, be like, I really want to hear about this. You can be silly and tell us what board game you would write a Valentine to.
Sure, because Valentine's Day will come and go before we release our next show.
It will.
All right. Well, you can tell us how much you love us by answering a Backtalk question on the Family Gamers Facebook community at thefamilygamers.com/community, or by searching for the Family Gamers community on Facebook. Or you can head over to the Discord.
Easiest way to get there is go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord. That will bring you right in with an invite to the family tabletop community. There are all kinds of other places you can find us online as well. You know what? I'm going to change things up. Instead of starting with social media, I'm going to say you can go to thefamilygamers.com. That is the website for the Family Gamers. Everything that we have done in the last 10 years is either on this site or pointed to somewhere on this site. I promise it is all there. It is, I don't know, well over 1,000 posts. It's a lot, guys. There's a pretty decent search feature, and I do a bunch of show notes for every single one of the 415 podcast episodes that we've done.
Yeah, she's a monster, you guys.
You can also email us, Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com. You can also find us all over social media at Family Gamers AA. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, and even YouTube.
As always, we would beg you to subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already.
And just making me beg.
And tell your friends about the podcast. You can tell strangers about us by leaving a review at Apple Podcast.
Yes.
Or anywhere else that allows you to review podcasts.
You can be like, hey, stranger, I know some strange people that you should listen to.
Exactly.
So wherever you subscribe is where you can find us. You can also find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, and like we said, YouTube with YouTube Music.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. You should go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers because you can learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points in real life.
All right. And that brings us to the end of another show. Anitra, we just said that Valentine's Day is in between this show and our next one. So you want to be my Valentine?
Always.
All right. I hope everybody out there can find your Valentine. Until next time, everybody,
Play games with your kids.